Hey guys, Shido here, and the 2015 spring anime season has begun. So I once again present to you my first impressions of this new season. I'll be watching the first episodes of most of the shows and giving you my thoughts and opinions based off that episode. It's always fun to find out if I'm right about a show, or even proven completely wrong. Shows I won't be covering are the anime short series, meaning shows that are under the standard 20 plus minute runtime. I also won't cover sequels of shows if I haven't seen the previous seasons, etc. So that means shows like the new Battle Spirits or Duel Masters are out. Also, I won't be covering the new season of High School DxD, the new Ghost in the Shell, Sidonia, and Uta no Prince-sama. I will, however, be covering the second half of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, the second season of my teen romantic comedy Snafu, and the new Gintama, and of course, the second season of Nisekoi. I'll be covering the shows in the order that I watched them as well, so we'll see how it goes as the new shows start airing. I started off with what was listed as episode 0 of Nisekoi, which is really just a recap episode from the first season. I was disappointed, but not really all that surprised. Like season 1, it's animated by Shaft, and it's no doubt going to continue to be a gorgeous show. I'm going to watch the show because I'm a fan of it, but it is full of flaws that a typical romance comedy harem has. All the girls love the main male lead. For the most part, nobody will confess. And really, nothing will get accomplished. The show is fun, and I like most of the characters, and it's a fine show for romance comedy fans, and if you watch season 1, of course. The manga is still going, and hasn't really gotten that far in the plot, so it'll definitely end without an actual ending. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about the show itself, because it's really only for people coming back after watching the first season. Skip it if you're not into romance comedies, or you haven't watched the first season. The next show surprised me a whole lot. Donmachi, or Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Despite the long stupid name and it being based off a light novel, a fantasy romance comedy light novel at that, I really liked episode 1. The episode opens with our male lead, 14-year-old adventurer Belle, being attacked by a minotaur. Before he can be killed, a beautiful blonde swordswoman named Aizu kills the creature. Belle is covered in the creature's blood and ends up getting out of the dungeon, immediately interested in the girl who saved him. The show, like most all light novel romance comedies, has your typical cute, young, big-breasted girl that is in love with the male lead as well, which, going off of that, enter Hestia, a goddess in charge of taking care of Belle's development. As a poor familia, they live in a room in an abandoned church. Now, familias are led by gods or goddesses and can have any number of followers. The familias that live in the city range from dungeon adventurers like Belle to alchemists, crafters, etc. A new adventurer has to be in a familia to be allowed into the guild before they can even enter the dungeon. The dungeon inhabits various monsters and traps, and is rumored to be older than most of the gods and goddesses. As you progress through the dungeon, the floors become larger and the monsters get more powerful. Also, nobody seems to know how deep the dungeon goes. What's interesting is it's sort of like watching an RPG, where there is a level system and abilities and stats are gained or increased as you fight and kill monsters in the dungeon. What made me enjoy episode 1 so much was our male lead, Belle. While his relationship with Hestia is interesting, and it sorta reminds me of Raishin and Yaya from Unbreakable Machine Dolls, with the girl being open and clear about being in love with the main lead, and our lead shutting him down. What I like about Belle is it seems like he knows what he wants. In a scene where he's in a pub eating, and he's being openly mocked, he does run away acting upset, but he doesn't run away and just go off to cry, not really anyways. He goes back to the dungeon and fights a bunch of monsters, determined to get stronger. Belle just seems very likable, and I guess it doesn't hurt that Sword Art Online's male lead, Kirito, his voice actor, Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, is just amazing at his job. I hope it lives up to the first episode's potential, and I'll definitely be continuing it. Moving on from there, I watched episode 1 of my teen romantic comedy Snafu Season 2. This is another show I won't talk too deeply about, because if you didn't watch Season 1, you probably won't be watching Season 2. But if you didn't watch Season 1, please, go watch it. It's an amazingly good show. It's a slice-of-life romance comedy based off a light novel series. I loved Season 1 so much, and was very excited when Season 2 was announced. I love mostly all the characters, especially male lead, Hachiman Hikigaya. Being a very pragmatic person myself, Hachiman's character speaks about the world sensibly and realistically, even being rather harsh about things. His character is someone I can relate to, and thus very easy to agree with. I love this show, and many people do as well. I'll definitely be watching, and so should you. Next is another second season of a show. Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works is basically more Fate Stay Night. UFO Table is in charge of animation again, so of course it's beautiful to look at. Fate Stay Night has a huge following, and just like many others I'll be watching. If you don't like the Fate series, you'll be passing on this. However, everyone else will most likely be watching. And now for the final show of this video, Shokugeki no Soma, or Food Wars. It's basically a shonen cooking show. This is another case of me being completely biased here. Realistically, this show is really stupid, but holy crap is it a lot of fun. It's over the top, with people eating and entering an over the top, seemingly orgasmic-like state, just because of how good the food is. The show is about Soma Yukihara, who wants to be a full-time chef at his dad's restaurant, and surpass his father in skill. After graduating middle school, his dad closes the restaurant down, and he heads to America. Soma is sent to an elite culinary school, where the graduation rate is only about 10%. As a follower of the manga, the anime seems like it's going to be a perfect adaptation, with very little changes. At the culinary school, students often battle each other in Shokugeki, which is basically a cooking duel, to solve debates and disputes. This show is just a ton of fun, and it's just sort of meant to be watched with your brain turned off. It's a sit back and enjoy the ride type show, and I for one am excited to take the journey. And that's going to be it for part 1 of my first impressions of the 2015 spring season. For better or for worse, this video contained 3 of the shows I was most looking forward to this season. I look forward to hopefully discovering a bunch more great shows, so I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in part 2. Later!